Spring-like weather may be helping boost turnout at primary day in New Hampshire as thousands of voters cast their ballots for their favorite presidential candidates. Good evening and welcome to 22 News at 5. I'm Veronica Cintron.
And I'm Dan Elias, live in Manchester, New Hampshire. After hearing from the candidates for many months and in many cases meeting them as well, the voters of New Hampshire finally have their say at the ballot box today. A very balmy primary day this year. In fact, could be a record turnout, we're told, especially on the Democratic side of the ballot. We went to a polling place today to ask people who they were voting for and why.
A steady stream of voters headed into this Elm Street polling place in Manchester. Inside at midday, it was busy, though not overcrowded. But New Hampshire voters know the candidates well by now. A few may have been surprised by the choices when they finally saw the names on the ballot, many of whom were far from familiar. For example, on the Republican side of the ballot, you have to get through Hugh Court, John Cox, Neil Fendig Jr., and Daniel Gilbert before you get to a familiar name. Those lesser names qualified for the ballot, but it's the marquee names who are in the race. We asked voters who they chose and why.
John Edwards.
And what was the reason?
Well, I felt that he was the most honest, and I trusted him.
Obama, I just think he does. We need change in this country, especially our healthcare and education, and I think he's the one to be able to do it.
Hillary.
Hillary. Why? Why Hillary?
I just like the way she talks, and she's had quite a few years' experience.
But one man was disturbed by stumbles in the Clinton campaign and says he doesn't want to risk seeing them in the general election.
Because of Kerry's incompetence, we had 4 more years of Bush, so that's why I voted for Obama.
They didn't have a lot of money. All they could afford to hire was me. A 24-year-old.
And we wanted to look into more reasons, why voters decided as they did. And for more on that, we turn to my 22 News colleague, Jaclyn. Jaclyn.
Well, Dan, most of New Hampshire is made up of independent voters, many of whom don't know who they're going to vote for until they actually enter the booth. But we asked them, what do they think about electability when choosing a presidential candidate?
It's primaries like New Hampshire that will decide who wins the party nomination. But we wanted to know if Granite State voters choose a candidate based on who can win in November, instead of who's their preferred person for the job. Jeff Pollock voted for Senator Barack Obama.
I think he and Senator Clinton have very similar ideas which appeal to me, but it is electability.
Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney spoke with 22 News at one Manchester polling place. He says he can beat Barack.
And let's have somebody who can not just talk about change, but who actually has delivered change, not only in the private sector, but in the Olympics and in the state of Massachusetts.
Electability seems to be a theme among these voters. Ernie Goodman is a registered Democrat and thinks Obama can lead his party.
Well, surely, where his position on his issues and his personality, I think combined, is making him a very strong candidate.
Party leaders have questions about his electability, but that didn't stop Iowa Republicans from supporting former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee.
You going to be able to sweep New Hampshire like you did Iowa?
Well, I don't know. We're not going to make any overly bold predictions, but we're going to have a good day here in New Hampshire.
Now, our team coverage continues on 22 News at 5:30, and when it does, we're going to be talking about this very balmy weather and whether or not it's having any sort of effect on voter turnout. Reporting live in Manchester, New Hampshire, Jaclyn Cashman, 22 News.